Today we're taking a look at these NFL matches, which are happening on Sunday, December 19, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Cincinnati Bengals vs Denver Broncos. Cincinnati's defense is allowing an average of 22.5 points per game, which is 17th in the NFL. The Bengals are allowing an average of 349.8 yards per game with 93.1 yards on the ground and 256.8 yards per game through the air. Cincinnati has 18 takeaways this season, but has turned the ball over 21 times. The statistical leaders on defense for Cincinnati are Logan Wilson with 92 tackles, Trey Hendrickson with 12.5 quarterback sacks, and Wilson with 4 interceptions. Despite opening the week as 1.5-point favorites, Denver comes into the weekend favored by a field goal. The Bengals have struggled of late, dropping 4 of their last 6 games to fall to 7-6 through 13 contests. Cincinnati's defense has taken a major step back during that span, allowing 26 points or more in each of its losses. Meanwhile, anchored by a strong running game, Bridgewater has been doing just enough to keep the Broncos afloat. Denver's defense is second in the NFL in points allowed at 17.5 per game. The Broncos are 7th in total yards allowed at 324.8 per game. The Broncos give up 106.2 yards rushing and 218.6 yards passing per outing. Denver has 15 takeaways and an equal number of turnovers. The statistical leaders on defense for Denver are Kareem Jackson with 73 tackles, Dre'Mont Jones with 5.5 quarterback sacks, and Justin Simmons with 5 interceptions. Our first betting advice is to pick Denver -3. Denver has also been able to lean on its two-headed monster in the backfield. Javonte Williams leads the team in rushing with 743 yards, while Melvin Gordon is right behind him with 716 yards and a team-high 7 rushing touchdowns this season. On defense, the Broncos have given up only 17.5 points per game, the second lowest mark in the NFL. Denver ranks 7th in the NFL in total defense at 324.8 yards per game. The Broncos have surrendered 218.6 yards of total offense per game this season, 9th in the NFL, and ranked 10th in the league against the run at 106.2 yards per contest. Chase has been electric in his first NFL campaign, notching a whopping 10 touchdowns in his first 13 NFL games. Reunited with Burrow, his former teammate at LSU, the number 5 overall pick caught 60 passes for 1,035 yards and 10 touchdowns, while averaging a healthy 17.3 yards per reception. Speaking of Burrow, he's bounced back strong from a season-ending injury in his rookie year. The 25-year-old signal caller has completed 68.8% of his passes for 3,483 yards with 25 touchdowns and 14 interceptions so far this season. On defense, Cincinnati has surrendered 22.5 points per game, including 367.9 yards of total offense per game. The Bengals have been among the stingiest teams in the NFL against the run, allowing only 93.1 rushing yards per game, which ranks 4th in the NFL. Our second betting advice is to pick under 43.5. Quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 500 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. Atlanta Falcons vs San Francisco 49ers. In their last game, the Falcons picked up another road win in Carolina 29-21. After Cam Newton scored the opening touchdown, Cordarrelle Patterson tied it up on the next drive. Michael Walker picked off Newton in the second quarter and brought it back for 6, giving the Falcons a lead they never relinquished. They were able to force 3 turnovers from the Panthers, which helped the Falcons as they were only able to get 190 yards through the air. The Falcons will need to force some turnovers Sunday if they are going to continue their winning ways on the road. The 49ers find themselves favored by 9.5 points in this contest, which feels like a bit of a stretch against an improving Falcons team. San Francisco has been trending up in recent weeks, but each of its last 3 games have been decided by a single score. Meanwhile, Atlanta has quietly bounced back since being shut out against the Patriots, and the Falcons have found ways to win games despite poor advanced stats. In their 26-23 win over Cincinnati last week, the 49ers went to the air more than usual. Jimmy G completed 66% of his passes for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kittle grabbed 13 of the 15 targets that came his way for 151 yards and a touchdown. Debo did his damage on the ground, picking up 37 yards and a touchdown on his 8 carries. The defense was able to keep Joe Mixon in check with just 58 yards on 18 carries. Joe Burrow kept the Bengals in the game and led them on a 26 comeback in the fourth to send the game to overtime. He then got them into field goal range, and kicker Evan McPherson knocked in a 41-yarder to take the lead. Jimmy G then led the Niners on a drive that ultimately ended with him hitting Brandon Ayuk on a 12-yard touchdown pass to win the game. Our first betting advice is to pick Atlanta Falcons +9. Despite fans calling for rookie Trey Lance to start for most of the season, the 49ers have been undeniably better with Garoppolo under center this year. Since Week 8, Garoppolo has posted a QBR of 64.4, the 4th best mark in the NFL. He also ranks 3rd with 1,831 passing yards and 11 touchdowns during that span, while guiding San Francisco to a 5-2 overall record. For the season, the 49ers starting quarterback has passed for 2,937 yards, with 17 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, while completing 66.7% of his passes. Our second betting advice is to pick under 46.5. Green Bay Packers vs Baltimore Ravens. The Packers trailed 27-21 at halftime, but scored the first 24 points of the second half. Green Bay has a 4-game lead over Minnesota in the NFC North. The win came with some injury concerns heading into this matchup with Baltimore. Starting right tackle Billy Turner injured his knee in the second quarter and didn't return. W.R. Malik Taylor had an abdominal injury and Equinemius St. Brown left to get evaluated for a concussion. All players are listed as questionable for Sunday afternoon. I think there is going to be some clear value in this game based on the public narrative surrounding both teams. Baltimore is on a 2-game skid and could be without its starting quarterback, so not many people will want to back them against a hot Green Bay team. However, Rodgers' toe injury continues to get worse, which is going to be an issue against a Baltimore defense that has allowed just 17.8 points per game over its last 5 games. The Packers are also struggling defensively, and I do not think Jackson's potential absence is something to be worried about. Jackson was relieved in the second quarter by backup quarterback Tyler Huntley. The youngster spent much of the second half scrambling from trouble, but he kept Baltimore close, and the Ravens, who trailed 24-6 at the half, pulled within 24-22 on Huntley's 8-yard TD pass to Mark Andrews with 1:17 to go. After recovering the onside kick, Baltimore could not score. Andrews had 11 catches for 115 yards and broke Baltimore's single-season record for yards receiving by a tight end, surpassing Todd Heap's 855 in 2005. The Ravens will try and get back on track at home. Our first betting advice is to pick Baltimore +6. One major storyline heading into this game is the health of quarterback Lamar Jackson, who suffered a sprained ankle on the first play of the second quarter against Cleveland. Jackson was replaced by Tyler Huntley, who finished with 270 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Huntley will make the start if Jackson, questionable, is unable to go. He hasn't practiced all week, so it's likely that Huntley will go. Jackson is the team's leading rusher. Running back Devonta Freeman is second with 102 carries for 440 yards and 4 touchdowns. Tight end Mark Andrews has a team-high 75 receptions for 926 yards and 6 touchdowns. The Packers will be wanting to fix some things defensively, as they have allowed 30.7 points per game over their last 3 games. They only gave up 18 points per game during their first 10 contests. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers continues to battle a toe injury, but it has not seemed to faze him. Rodgers completed 29 of 37 attempts for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns against Chicago last week. He has thrown for over 1,000 yards and has tallied 10 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Wide receiver Davante Adams ranks 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards, 1,204. Running backs A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones have split the duties of the rushing attack. They are both averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Our second betting advice is to pick under 43.5.